Hello and welcome to another episode of Another Round. I'm here with my most emphatic co-host, Hamza Hanif. Today we're going to be going over the big British showdown of the weekend between Buatsi and Craig Spider Richards. And we're also looking forward to the massive fight this weekend with Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolando Romero this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, a couple of things we're going to be discussing as well about news and what's going on this weekend. But yeah, how are you doing? Everything good?
Yeah, man, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I seriously had the lurgy vibes last week. So, I feel good now. So I am all good to go.
Good to see you still alive.
Yeah, survived the deadly COVID and I'm dodging my way past monkeypox or whatever it is, whatever the next thing is, the next pandemic that they're trying to fucking put on us. But anyway, yeah, emphatic fight between Buatsi and Richards. Obviously, that was quite, we've been pretty good with our predictions lately. It was a 50-50. I wasn't just too disappointed with the result, though. I'm happy that Buatsi win. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a really interesting fight. I think Buatsi was a little bit more technical, as you mentioned, but like not only that, he was a little bit more explosive as well.
Yeah,
his punches were like slightly more telling than Richards's were. The Spider is really good though. Yeah, I still came away from that fight being a massive fan of Craig Richards because it's one of those though where there was times in that fight where I was kind of it was like he was almost hesitating slightly, and it was like if I was like if I had like a controller that I could control him, it would you would just tell me like put the pressure on slightly because there was a time in that fight where he had I think it was the 7th or 8th round where he had Buatsi like rattled, and I don't know if you noticed as well as the fight wore on, Buatsi was fighting in pockets. He was kind of like he was putting on a really sustained explosive attack for about a minute. And then he wasn't really doing all that much. He was like trying to recoup his energy. But it was a brilliant fight. Like it was a really brilliant fight. And I think to be honest with you, I think Buatsi is definitely world championship level fighter, 100%.
Yeah, it was interesting. He put some very good shots onto Craig Richards, and I could see him looking for that. He was looking for that uppercut a few times, and he just shaded Richards' chin. He just kind of missed him like that much on a few of them. And I could see Richards being rattled a few times, and he just needed to land that uppercut, and it would have been night, but he didn't quite get there. He got exhausted and exacerbated. Richard did a lot of smothering work and held him down a bit and tired him out. It was a very good fight. And Richards is awkward. He's a big, lanky guy. I mean, he's not that, but he's kind of long. Do you know what I mean? His arm, his reach. It's kind of awkward to fight, and I think he could see Buatsi was getting frustrated. But yeah, like you rightly pointed out, Richards had some really good moments as well. But I think technically Buatsi was just a little bit better. And I think overall, I think he just shaded it on points. But what a fight. That was good. Another good fight that was talking of level fights on the undercard. Alen the Savage Babic, who's one of my favorite, just for personality wise, is just a great entertainer. His fight with the Polish guy, and like a lot of Polish people who are always saying they always lose in the big fights, got a lot of respect for Polish fighters. And Balski, he came out and really gave it. He really gave it to the Savage. That was a very close fight too. Again, I think Savage just shaded that one, but I can see it being argued both ways because there was moments where Savage just left his chin open and he got absolutely cracked a few times. He's got a hell of a chin on him. Do you know what I mean? He didn't even bother to protect himself. A lot of times, he just had he had his hands down so many times. You and I can see that he needs to work on his defense because he just doesn't care. He just goes and throws hands, goes all out, balls to the wall, and just throws left and right bombs. Doesn't protect himself, but he needs to if he's gonna go further and possibly win a title, in the Bridgerweight.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, this was one of my favorite fights of the night. I actually enjoyed this fight more than anything. I do think that the knockdown in the first round, I despite the Polish fighter being a really, really good boxer, and to be honest with you, I think he's actually got the perfect. He actually displayed the perfect style to beat the Savage. Do you know what I mean? Like someone who has relentless pressure but has slightly sloppy defense. He was boxing him very well off the back foot, very, very well, and he's going to have to be careful of that when he steps up the levels. You can't just always crash the range. You can't always just rush on top of the opponent because not everybody's going to wilt. You know what I mean? People are going to hit you with a stiff couple of jabs, slip out of the way, slide out of the way.
Do you remember that game Lemons where the kamikaze kind of, these little lemons just jump off the cliff?
Yeah, I do remember Lemons, yeah.
He's got that kind of carefree. He doesn't care. Like he doesn't seem to give a whatever about himself.
He's a madman, bro. He's a madman.
I love him to death, but he's absolutely nuts. Does not give a crap about his own safety. But yeah, he went full in, and I think Balski, obviously he had the confidence of being a bit of a KO artist himself. So it was a great fight. They were still throwing bombs like into the 12th round. Obviously, I put that little short video up on YouTube, and they were absolutely throwing right to the final bell. That was great. I agree. That was probably the best one of the night. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, Alen Babic can definitely give it, and he can definitely take it. So. And it was a really exciting fight for being a bridgerweight as well, because obviously you want to see these showcase fights because you want to see that division get deeper. You want to see it blossom. And honestly, it was a fantastic action-packed fight. Hopefully, this sort of kamikaze style of fighting, you know, it serves Alen the Savage Babbage well.
Yeah, it was a good showcase. It was a good advert for the Bridgerweight, and I'm hopefully there's some more boys that join in and make it a bit bigger and a bit more depth in that division. But yeah, talking of big matchups, we've got the huge fight this weekend. I'm excited about this. A good opportunity for Gervonta Tank Davis to showcase his skills against Rolando Rolly Romero. How do you see that fight going? What do you think is going to happen? I'm mega excited about
that. Yeah. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to see if Rolly can fight as good as he talks.
Yes.
If he can fight as good as he talks, Tank Davis got a chance because he's great on the mic and he has me in bits. Like some of his answers and like some of the stuff that he comes out with is just hilarious.
Mate, this guy's unreal. This guy is unreal. Today, right? Even today, I was watching him in the media workouts. He's come out and he said, I may be the most explosive boxer in boxing. He said, I'm the most explosive boxer in boxing history today. That's what he said. He said, I may well be the most explosive boxer in boxing history.
Not even in his weight division or his generation, just all weight divisions. Yeah.
And I heard him as well a week ago. He was like, "Oh, well, Deontay Wilder's retired now, so I'm obviously the hardest hitting boxer in boxing." I love it, mate. I love the confidence. I love the fact that he's come out there. You know what? Like, all respect to American fighters because they really know how to build up their confidence. Yeah, they have unreal confidence. If I'm being really dead honest with you, though, mate, it screams like Jeff Lacey versus Joe Calzaghe to me. It screams of like, this guy, I think, is going to get found out. If I'm honest with you, this might be the one prediction that we get wrong. Well, in my opinion, I think Tank Davis, this is like being perfectly selected for him, and he's going to detonate him within 8 rounds. I'm going to say 8 rounds. I think he's going to get absolutely floored because this guy is delusional, bro. I don't understand. He's ridiculous.
I'm liking the delusion. And just to keep it interesting. I don't know. I do actually agree with you. I do think Davis is gonna go through him, but. Just for a little bit of spice, I'm gonna go with Rolly because imagine if he does come out and absolutely flatlines him as well. That would be fucking amazing. It would shake up that division massively, and it would put this kid on the map. Yeah. And I also like his little coat that he wears as well. Do you know the little pimp coat that he's got on? I love that.
his little Rolly gold chain that he came out.
Yeah.
I love the show. Showtime has been amazing as well. They were like, and they did a little video, and at the end they were like, at the end of the day, one motherfucker's gonna get knocked out, and they did.
People were losing their shit about that as well. They were like, "Did he just say motherfucker? Did he just say motherfucker?"
Yeah, they were proper. They weren't like
open
on the old TV. It was amazing. Yeah, I loved it, mate. It was great. But here's the thing: he does have an advantage in terms of his reach and his height. He's a little bit bigger. I mean, let's be honest; these guys are not the biggest guys in the world. Rolly is like 5'8". Gervonta Davis isn't that much taller than Kevin Hart, mate. For all that we want to give him. He is amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, his skill is amazing. His hand speed. He's obviously seen as the prodigal messiah to Floyd Mayweather. He is the prodigal son, the understudy of Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather's obviously handpicked him to be his like next in line. But you could also argue, has he been overprotected? Has he been kind of mollycoddled, wrapped in cotton wool to the point where his whole career, he hasn't had a big opportunity yet, and he hasn't had a big fight yet. I think some of his big fights, he has had some big fights, actually, in my opinion. He's had Leo Santa Cruz, Isaac Cruz, sorry, and he's had Barrios, and he did well to knock him out as well. He's got a great knockout ratio, actually. You know, the guy is got some serious bang to his weight division, and I would love to see. I would love to see this. I'd like to see him get a win so that he can break free from Mayweather and step into the kind of big boy pool, you know, and fight with the big boys now, because he needs to get in with those guys. How do you think?
No, I agree. I think he's one of those where he has got all of the talent, and I think he has been in with some good quality fighters. I just don't think he's had that sort of marquee fight that with all of the hype. Mm-hmm. And I think the Mayweather connection hasn't really helped him. I think it's hindered him slightly. Not hindered him, because obviously Mayweather's.
I don't think it's hindered him. I don't think it's hindered him, because I don't think he'd be as big a star as he is if it was.
Yeah, no, I agree. Actually, I shall retract that from the record, because I think Mayweather's invested a lot of money in him as well, which always helps. You know what I mean? When you're training at the Mayweather gym, you've got all this world class, you know, trainers, nutrition, everything that goes into being a champion is already set up there, because the blueprint is there from Mayweather. You know, but I just think he's kind of a little bit in Mayweather's shadow. You know, and I feel like there is a sort of a protection being sort of given to him, you know. And
you're right as well. Even in the beginning, mate, when they did the interviews, he wouldn't even let him speak. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even let him speak in the interview. Floyd was always talking for him, like answering questions for him. And I think he feels like, you know, like, you're my big brother, but now it's time for me just to go out on my own. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm old enough now to be on my own. I think he should. Yeah. I think he needs to be.
And that's vastly different to the way Floyd Mayweather conducted his own business. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't ever have like an older fighter there talking for him. Like, he was always there talking about money, Mayweather, throwing money at the camera, talking shit. So I feel like a fighter kind of has to be the master of his own destiny. And I think it's time for him to claim that for himself.
Yeah, I mean, Floyd has got a great mouth on him. He's got a great mouthpiece on him, as we know. So I could understand why, you know, he would probably do that. But at the same time, now we need to see him step out of that, and I think that's a good thing for him, a good opportunity for him. So hopefully, I would like to see Gervonta Davis take care of Rolando in sort of 6-7 rounds, 6-8 rounds, a convincing knockout. I can see that happening, and then we'll see kind of coming on from there. But yeah, talking about other big fights being announced, we said before in a previous thing, we talked about Canelo and Triple G. We said that was going to get announced. Obviously, that was put in doubt, and that was a shadow of doubt because he lost to Bivol. But I think he's made a very shrewd move there, because I think, you know, you've got an aging Triple G. He's is he 40 maybe 41?
I think he's 40 on the nose. Yeah.
So he's an aging Triple G. He's not quite what he was. A lot of controversy, obviously, between the first fight and the second fight with Canelo and Triple G. He wants to put that to bed. He wants to set the record straight. He wants to get another emphatic win over Triple G. I think that's the easier fight for him than another rematch with Bivol, because he looked so out of his depth in terms of, and that fight really, to me, signified why we have weight classes in the first place. You can't be Superman and fight heavyweights and fight Usyk and be like, you know, when you're 5'6" tall. Do you know what I mean? You got to go with, that's why we have a weight classes for a reason, you know, and we have pound for pound for a reason. And I still think 100%. He's up there, by the way, in pound for pound. And so I'm hoping he makes a big comeback. I hope he wins Triple G. And then I'd like to see if he does fight Bivol again, Bivol comes down to 168 and plays by Canelo's rules. I think that'll be more fair, but we'll see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, like, for myself, I think it's all easier. Like, for example, I think the Triple G fight was already negotiated for that September date before he fought Bivol. I'm pretty sure that's the way DAZN was sort of lining things up, was it to fight Bivol and then move into the September fight against Golovkin.
Yeah.
What happened was, though, Bivol kind of tore up the script. I do think that the weight class.
Sorry, just to interject. Sorry, you're right. It was September 17th for Canelo versus Triple G, the trilogy, and then they're talking about Cinco de Mayo next year, the following year, for Bivol rematch at 168. That's what they're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah. I think it's a good move by Canelo, and it's a good move for Golovkin. I mean, I remember after the Murata fight, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to see this fight. Like, I mean, you know, in my eyes, Golovkin won the first fight. I actually gave the second fight narrowly to Canelo, and there does need to be a third, but Golovkin is older. He doesn't quite look like the same beast of a man that he used to be. So that's slightly worrying, because you know Canelo's going to come in there and perform to a very, very high level. So it's I was kind of like, almost, do I really want to see this fight? But it's like, at the end of the day, Golovkin is one of the best middleweights of this era. He might be 40 years old, but the last thing to go is power. And he deserves a final massive paycheck to leave the sport, you know, and he deserves a final chance to set the record straight as well, because nobody's really been competitive with Golovkin other than Canelo. Do you know what I mean? So I think he does deserve this chance. And I think for Canelo as well, I wouldn't be rushing to fight Bivol again either, because the size, he was exposed slightly with the size, which we always knew was going to be a bit of a problem for him. But not only that as well, I think he found that Bivol's technical skill added to his size was a big problem for him, you know, and it really offset his game plan. It wasn't a great night for him, you know. He wasn't really badly hurt in the fight, but there were times where he looked very uncomfortable. He looked like he couldn't do what he wanted to do. And I think this is a good fight for him. I think, you know, Golovkin's a massive name. It's going to generate massive interest. And hopefully they have another epic fight. Hopefully they bring out the best in each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm moving on to the following weekend, actually, on the day before my birthday in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Massive fight between Devin the Dream Haney, and George Ferocious Kambosos.
Yeah.
Mate, what
this fight is ridiculous. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be crazy. I already know. Yeah. Here's what I think, right? On paper, I want to hear your point on this, but on paper, I would say Devin Haney is technically a better fighter, but you can never discount somebody's desire and heart. What the big question for me is you saw how much heart and how much guts and how deep Kambosos was willing to go against Teofimo Lopez to win that heavyweight title. I mean, to win that title even. Lightweight title. How deep is he willing to go? Does he have that same desire to defend it, because there's one thing getting it. We saw it with Andy Ruiz. When Andy Ruiz was so desperate to win, he came at Anthony Joshua. He was desperate to win that heavyweight title. Then when he got it, he didn't have that same desire to get himself in the gym, maintain his fitness and defend it. That's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level above that. If you still got the motivation to keep defending your title, I don't know if he does, but I can't wait to find out, because that potentially is going to be a mega fight.
No, bro, I think you bring up a very interesting point, and many times you hear of great champions say something similar. That it's harder to get, but it's even harder to keep, because that motivation does dim slightly. Your lifestyle improves. You become almost like a celebrity. Everyone wants to do. There's always cameras around. People want to do little mini documentaries on you, and everyone wants to hear what you have to say. So it's one of those, isn't it? I don't know though. I think Kambosos is slightly different. I think he's a very special fighter. I was actually watching a little mini documentary on him the other day, and he just seems to have this warrior sort of mentality and this warrior spirit. He draws a lot of pride from his Greek heritage, as well as his sort of native Aussie roots as well. This is just going to be an amazing fight, man. I've got to say as well, like Devin Haney, he took a lot of shit when Lomachenko was elevated to franchise champion. He took a lot of shit because he picked up a vacant title, and people online were calling him the paper champion and whatnot.
Email champion.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, Devin Haney's got big nuts on him. He win or lose this fight, he has to, I believe, fight another fight under Top Rank. So he's kind of broke from his promotional duties in order to pursue this opportunity, which just shows you how confident he is. He's fighting away in a massive stadium against the home fighter. He's given Kambosos everything Kambosos wants. So that shows confidence to me.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And just to tie in nicely with the Tank fight, I've heard Tank come out recently and call him the paper champion. You're the email champ. You're talking a good game, but why don't we fight this fight? So, he said he's got another fight with Top Rank. It would be great to see Haney versus Tank if they both.
Can I just say something as well? Can I just say something? Devin Haney is so much more the Floyd sort of protege than Tank is. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of the way they fight and stuff, like Tank has got a completely different style to the way Floyd had. Well, Devin Haney's like very sort of composed on the outside, flipping in, slipping out, very defensively sound, very defensively responsible as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's a weird little dynamic that, and I have seen Devin Haney train at the Mayweather gym in Vegas.
He was massively influenced by Floyd Mayweather, and he says that in his interviews when he's growing up as well. You're right. You're absolutely right. He does look more like Floyd than Tank in a lot of ways, in the way that he fights.
Has his own promotional company from a young age, which Floyd also had. He has that sort of idea in his mind to be his own boss.
Yeah, exactly. He's more independent, and he seems more. I wouldn't say he's more motivated or driven, but he does carry a lot of the same characteristics than Mayweather. And you're right, he's very similar in a lot of regards. So that'll be a great matchup. But I've just seen him boiling over. I've seen Tank and them like getting at each other online on social media. But talking of boiling over, you see Anthony Joshua obviously snapped back at those kids, those students.
My God.
Nay,
that was fucked.
That was great. Number one, two things I think about, and I'd like to hear your perspective. Number one, I think I like to see that, because there's a lot of fucking knobs that will just talk shit, won't they? And then they don't. Yeah. And then it's great to see them being confronted. Showed that Joshua is feeling a bit of pressure. He's feeling the pressure a little bit, in my opinion, of this rematch with Usyk. But I love that he actually went out and confronted them. It might not even be feeling the pressure. I think he just wanted to teach him a lesson, and that's good as well. but I still think it was great that he just came out and he just went into their student uni digs and he just came and talked to them and they just didn't say anything. He was like, I'll crack your jaw. Smash
they
you
were
up.
shitting themselves. They were shitting themselves.
Yeah, fair
no,
enough.
I think it's one of those things, man, where like we live in this culture now, and obviously we have the youth of today that have grew up in this culture as well, where it's like everything sort of social media. And like I think people are very comfortable these days talking a lot of shit on Twitter, talking a lot of shit on the YouTube comments and saying like wildly inappropriate stuff. And people get so used to having actual discourse like that. Sometimes it spills over into the real world and you can't really talk to people like that, you know, and you get back to reality because the natural order of things is someone the size of Anthony Joshua and the speed of Anthony Joshua and everything like that. He isn't really going to be spoken to by someone like a little pipsqueak kid like that. The other element of it, which you kind of touched on as well, and I do actually agree with you, as I think he lost his composure a little bit. And I don't know what that signifies, you know. I don't know if that shows that he's slightly rattled, or we actually brought up something on our last video about Canelo and about the amount of hate he received. I think Joshua's the same, you know. Joshua's, you know, he's made questionable statements, you know, during the whole BLM thing, which I think it rubbed people up the wrong way here in the UK a lot. I think it turned some of his fans off. Yeah, he had a bit of a bad night against Usyk. Usyk's a genius, by the way, but it's just he gets a lot more hate than he ever used to, and I think he's feeling that a little bit, and he's acting out slightly. Yeah. And he's like, okay, you might talk shit to me online, but you're not doing it to me in person.
Yeah, I think as well, to go off that, he's had a lot more hate than he really deserves. He's had a lot of abuse.
I believe so.
Be in this situation, but I do think it definitely affects him. You could see his confidence has gone the last few fights. So I'm hoping that, you know, this next fight, I feel like I need to see him be super confident, have a clear game plan and go for it. Even if he doesn't win, even if he doesn't beat Usyk, I want him to at least go all out, hell for leather, and go in and give it all he's got, because we'll still respect him and we'll give him a lot of respect even if he comes out and he doesn't win. Do you know what I mean? As long as he's clear in his mind about what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Do you know what it is? Despite the hate and despite sort of, I think a lot of people being turned off of Joshua, and I think part of that is just Fury's rise as well. I think people feel like I can only support one, so I'm going to pick Fury because Fury's a winner. And
I don't agree with that though. I think you've got to support
shining so bright, you know.
You got to support your own countrymen. That's how I feel. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's enough on the table so that everybody can eat. Everyone can have their own fan base. Everybody can have their own world title run. And everybody, especially like a sport like boxing, everyone should be able to fight each other, make millions and entertain the fans. That's ultimately what we want to see. In regards to this video, though, just going back, I don't think it's a strong look for Joshua. You know, I think ultimately in his mind, I don't think he was trying to intimidate those kids. Maybe he was slightly, took a bit of a scared straight approach. You ever seen that program where they get the fucking kids in and the convicts are screaming at them like, fuck you. Like, I think, but I don't think it's a strong look for him. You know, I think you have to remember he's a grown man. He's a champion. These kids, they were mouthy little idiots, but, you know, he stormed into their flat. I don't think it's a strong look. I think he'll probably will regret that because ultimately it was him losing his head in a moment where he could have just walked by and that would have been it.
Yeah, and then just finally, just as well, we're just seeing, just as before we come on, actually, Deontay Wilder's been had his statue unveiled in front of his friends and family and fans. I think it was great for him. I think that's good to show the kind of support that he got in his hometown, Tuscaloosa. I think that is how it's pronounced.
I'm glad you're saying it, not me.
Yeah, in Alabama. So I think that's great. You got to think to yourself, God, Tyson Fury probably thinks to himself, where's mine? Do you know what I mean? Where's my Manchester on my Morecambe Bay.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
Yeah, but you know, time will tell. He probably will. I definitely will if he comes on top against the winner of Joshua Usyk anyway, because I think that's the fight that everyone's calling for, and that's the big one that everyone's waiting for. But yeah. I think that's covered everything. But yeah, more importantly, this weekend, mate, my prediction: Tank Davis Jr. knockout inside 8 rounds. What are you saying? What do you think?
I'm going Rolly Romero by decapitation.
Whoa.
I think Rolly can do it. I think he can do it. I think no, I'm joking. I think Gervonta Davis.
I can tell you're lying, by the way. It's all in your face.
I think Gervonta Davis.
You think on points like 12 rounds. So.
I think it goes to points.
All right, mate. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you. That's been good. And looking forward to the next one. That's been another round.